Now, whenever we would have Sam with us and he'd be playing his music, there were many times that we would gather around his feet like little kids and listen to him sit with his guitar in his lap and philosophize. I never heard a harsh word come out of his mouth. He was a gentleman. He was a very wise man. He was an old man at that time, and he had lived through some times in our history that were very harsh, but he never talked about them as harsh times. He always found something nice to say about them. Now, during that time, Son Thomas from Leland, another good friend of ours, was flying back and forth to Germany playing the blues, and I would help with that situation. And I confronted Sam one night at my house. I said, Sam, I'd like to put a deal together. Let's me and you go to Europe. Let's play the blues over in Europe. My sister takes pictures. She can go be a photographer. I will have the whole tour set up. Let's do it. He looked at me and he said, little partner, how are we going to get over there? Well, I knew that Sam had been catching the bus every year going to San Diego. And if you look on the front of your cover, there he is catching the bus from Hollandale going to Vicksburg to ride the Greyhound out to California. Well, I told him, I said, Sam, well, we're going to fly over there in a big airplane. They got a 747 airplane now. He said, we going in an airplane? I said, that's right. I said, it's the safest thing going. I said, there's 340-something people on that airplane, got a upstairs and a downstairs. He said, that's the problem. I ain't going. I said, Sam, why ain't you going? I'm going to be right in the seat next to you. He said, that many people on that plane, just be my luck. It'd be one of daytime to go, and I don't want to ride down with them. Now, needless to say, we had a lot of fun. Sam grinned. He made us grin. Like Libby said, he was such a joy to be around. And every time I saw Sam, he always had a cap on his head, what I call an apple cap. He never took it off. And I asked him one night, I said, Sam, I've never seen you take that cap off. Why is that? He looked at me and he said, little partner, I got something up underneath that cap that a lot of folks wouldn't understand. I said, what's that? He winked at me and he said, I got me a ponytail. I never saw that ponytail until the night he died. But about two months before that night, it was Christmas. Sam was in the Delta Medical Center in Greenville. And every time he would leave my house, I'd take him home. I'd ask him, did he want a little drink? No, little partner, I don't want no drink. He said, but I would like to have a little cough medicine. Okay. I knew what Sam's cough medicine was. It was a half pint of bourbon with peppermint sticks stuck down in it. So I always saw to it that he had plenty of medicine. Well, it was Christmas Eve, and he was dying of emphysema in Delta Medical Center. And my wife Sally and I were on the way to a party that he very possibly would have been playing at were he not in the hospital. And I walked in there, and the Christmas decorations around, and we had gone and bought a little, we'd been there earlier, and there was nothing in his room. So we'd gone and bought a little Christmas tree and put a little tinsel on it, a little plastic tree. And my wife and I walked to the reception area and told her we wanted to go up in Miss SamChatmon3's room. And the lady looked at me, she said, you can't go up there. I said, why can't I go up there? She said, it's Christmas and only relatives are allowed in the hospital at Christmas time. I said, lady, I'm a relative of Sam's. She looked at me, she looked at my wife, she said, I don't think you are. I said, you get Elmer on the phone right now, which was his wife, and you ask her just who I am. Well, she got on the phone, and within 10 seconds, the elevator door opened up, and Miss Elmer Chapman walked up there and said, he is as much family as his own blood kin. You let him come upstairs right now. So we went up and spent our little 5 minutes with Sam, and I brought him some more of his cough medicine as his Christmas present. Now I probably will choke up, because a couple of months later, he was in the South Washington County Hospital out there on Highway 61 when it was still open. Sally and I walked in, and there was Elmer. And the first thing I saw on the bedside table was Sam's cap. And there lay the great Sam Chatmon, with the most beautiful almond-colored skin I think I've ever seen in my life. He was bare-chested. And over his right shoulder was the most gorgeous locks of long gray hair that over his shoulders came down to his waist. And Elma had just unbraided it out of the ponytail. And as we sat and talked to Elma, there was a brush on the bedside table. And as I held Sam's hand, my wife asked Elma, could she brush Sam's hair? And she said, of course. And there, for about 10 minutes, as I held his hand, my wife brushed his hair over his gorgeous chest as he breathed his last breaths. And every now and then, I would feel a faint squeeze on my hand, and I would see a faint smile come on his face. And we left, and I told the lady, cell phones had just come out, I told the lady nurse, I said, you call me if anything happens. And I hit Highway 61. I didn't make Arcola, and my phone rang. And it was a nurse at the desk. She said, Mr. Sam, he's gone. Well, the one thing that I can say, that I can carry to my grave, is that I was with one of the greatest blues men that's ever walked. And he lived right here in Hollandale, Mississippi. He was my friend. He was my loved one. He was a gentleman. He was a gentleman. And I was proud to know him. I was honored to know him, because if the one thing he did in his life, he gave dignity to the blues. Thank you.
He brought the realization back, didn't he? At this time, we have Representative Hines come to us, please.
You know, sometimes you have to be extremely careful who you go behind, because there was a story being told about Mr. Chatmon's life. And back in the early days, Grandma and them used to play the blues, and I ain't want to hear it. I was kind of caught up on the Four Tops and the Temptations, OJs and what have you. But I didn't understand the significance of the blues until you begin to have a little gravy in your life. And it is wonderful to know that a world-renowned artist, someone who had a rich legacy, started here in our own community. And for us to be here today to honor him is breathtaking. Because you just, as much gray hair as I have, I'm still a relatively young man. You just don't know how much culture and history that you have around you. And these are the kind of conversations we need to be having with our children. This is the type of conversation that we need to be having with our loved ones long before people have left here. And we need to give people their roses where they can smell them and they can see them. Now, having said that, I'm not going to read the entire proclamation. I'm going to read some excerpts because I kind of want to hear a little Sam's music. You know, it's just fitting that we just savor the moment, you know, with his music. This is a proclamation from the state of Mississippi by the Speaker of the House of Representatives and Representative John Hines honoring the life and legacy of Mr. Sam Chatmon on the occasion of the Mississippi Blues Trail's 86th historical marker honoring him. Whereas the Mississippi Blues Trail 86th historical marker will honor famed guitarist Sam Chatmon. And where Sam recorded several albums including Hollandale Blues, the Mississippi Chic, and Sam Chatmon and the Barbecue Boys, Sam Chatmon's Advice, and the Mississippi Chics. And whereas Sam's house at 818 Sherman Street in Hollandale, Mississippi had been purchased by the city and moved to the Blue Front area of Simmons Street, once famed Road Blue Cafes. Whereas the posse of the house of the House of Representatives to honor musicians who have brought great honor and acclaim to Mississippi. Now, therefore, hereby honor the musical life and legacy of Mr. Sam Chatmon on the occasion of dedication of the Mississippi Blues Trail's 86th historical marker. This, the first day of October 2009, signed by Speaker William J. McCoy and Representative John Hines.
Thank you, Representative Hines. As I was standing there thinking, I was thinking that we need to get Hank, Dr. Smith, and other people that know about Mr. Chatmon. Let's start a book. Maybe we can sell a book, make some money on a book. But I will be getting back with you gentlemen in reference to that. Okay, do we have Representative Bailey? Yes, sir. Well, you talk here. Yes, sir. How you doing?
How's everybody doing? Now, Hollandale is my home, too.
All right, then.
I went to Simmons High School, and I played the blues right on Blue Front. At Dealers Plays, the After Hour Club. In fact, I taught B.B. King's drummer, Caleb Ifrey, how to play drums right here. He got a start at Dealers Plays. When I was a little boy, I used to come to town on Sunday. I used to come to town to see all those big cats. I'm talking about black folk that had a little money and had them big cars. But Allegate would always have the best car. He would have a big Cadillac, convertible Cadillac, sometimes yellow, sometimes pink. It didn't matter to him, but he would park it out there and we just walk around and rub our hands and look at it. I got the first taste of manhood at the After Hours Club. I was little boys smelling my stuff, and I went over to talk to a lady. When I knew anything, I was getting up off the floor. The man told me, said, son, you got to grow up some more. That's my wife. So when I come in Blue Front, I would just get my beer and sit back there in the corner. And I learned my lesson. Don't mess with nobody else's woman. But when I came back as a lawyer in Greenville, May started the Blues Festival, and Malcolm Walls was in charge at that time. And he would take Mr. Sam, he called him Mr. Sam. He would take Mr. Sam to different places. And I went on several trips with Mr. Sam. I think the last one we took down to Jackson to the governor's mansion, where he played at the governor's mansion. Down Musgrove term. But I always remember when we go by his house in an old station wagon, and when we got there early in the morning, he would say, wait, boys, just wait. I got to feed so-and-so and so. Well, we thought he was talking about children. He was talking about chickens. He had all his chickens named. He said, I got to take care of so-and-so and so, a dog or something. He always had their name. We thought he was talking about the children. And he never did want to go and spend the night overnight too much. He loved Hollandale. He wanted to get back here. And the thing that was always that I admired about him, he always carried his food. Now, when we stopped somewhere, he wouldn't get him anything to eat. He always wanted a little coffee. You can give him a little coffee, but you couldn't give him anything to eat. And he would always carry that bag, and I always wondered what he had in that bag. He would put that bag up to his face and take a bite off or something, and put it back in the bag. But we enjoyed it. He was a gentleman. He was a nice guy. And you know, sometimes you look at people and you wonder why they come here and how they come here. Mr. Sam came as a special spirit. There'll never be another like him. If you live another million years, I don't think you'll never see another Sam Chatmon. But Hollandale, I'm glad that you all are recognizing the jewel that you have in Sam Chatmon. And I think it's a beautiful day for Hollandale. And thank all of y'all for coming for the Blues Commission. We thank you for making this possible. Give yourselves a hand. Thank you. All right.
Thank you, Mr. Bailey. Before we go over to the unveiling of the plaque, I want to know that after we unveil that we're going to have a good time, music, food, and like I said, if you one of those people needs something stronger than a Pepsi Cola, A&M Lounge has that for you free of charge. At this time, if you will, let's move over to the unveiling, please.
Everybody ready? Unveil. Oh, Sam might not
Said it take a cheap police goody mama, man, to make me. Said when you go on Blue Front, sweet baby, and just don't find me there. Oh, I'm the man what to sell all that whiskey, woman. When you go on Blue Front, mama, I mean just don't find me there. Say you can bet your bottom dollar I'm really counting cross ties somewhere. Says 61 run through Hollydale, baby, and it ain't but one doggone stop. Says 61 run through Hollydale, sweet baby, and I swear it ain't but one stop. Say when you go on Blue Front, sweet baby, I mean I've squeezed them till they oughta stop. Says I got so doggone many women in Hollandale till I don't know who I love. Oh boy, I'm them color-haired women. I got so doggone many women in Hollandale till I don't know who I love. Said the gang around me's pretty mama like the angels up above. Says I'd rather be in Hollandale, baby.
Tell your mama, tell your pappy, I'm gonna whoop you till your head get nappy. Oh yeah.
Hi, this is Eric Fowler from Studio 61. Come by and check out our state-of-the-art digital multi-track audio-visual production facility. We offer a wide variety of services, including 32-track live and unlimited virtual track recording, remote live audio-video recording of concerts, events, and weddings, full CD and DVD production, including mixing, mastering, editing, and graphic design. We also provide a variety of legal video services. Contact us at 601-529-9495 or on the web at studio61.com. Studio 61, your road to all things musical.